Hey everybody, this is Lorelia. In today's topic, I want to talk to you about zombie debt. That's right, zombie debt. Now, if you're watching this video, it is now the month of October. And when you think about the month of October, what do you think about? You think about Halloween, you think about ghosts, you think about monsters, you think about ghoulies, you think about zombies. But today I'm not talking about that type of zombie debt. I'm talking about the zombie debt that affects your credit. That's right, there is a such thing as the zombie debt that affects your credit. So before I go into the topic at hand today, I want to introduce you to who I am. My name is Brown-Phillips, and I am one of Amazon's best-selling authors of Jumpstart Your Credit, How to Settle and Negotiate Your Debts in 10 Steps. So let's get back to what I was talking about. No, I'm not kidding. There is a such thing as zombie debt. Now, the FTC, along with the CFPB, consider zombie debt. Those are debts that no longer should be collected on. And I know you may be wondering, well, Lorraine, I never heard of that. I thought all debts had to be paid. I thought all debts had to be collected. Well, let me explain something to you. Zombie debt also goes by the name of time-barred debts. Now, if you don't know what that means, you don't know what zombie debt is, you don't know what time-barred debts are, let me explain what they are. These are debts that are now in I would say, the charged off stage. What that means is that, if you saw other videos that I did, I talk about the original creditor and I talk about the debt collector. Well, these debts are now handled by the debt collector. And so there is a period of time of when a debt collector can collect on these debts and how long these debts can stay on your credit report. Now, the thing is that when most people approach rebuilding their credit themselves or repairing their credit, the first thing they do is they go pay all these debts that are outstanding because they see them on their credit report. So they assume that everything on their credit report is true. They also assume that any correspondence that gets mailed to them is also true. But see, I'm here to tell you something that is not widely talked about. And like I said, there is a period of time of when debts can be collected, along with how long debts can be reported on your credit report. Now, like I said, time-barred debts also goes by the name of zombie debt. Are debts that are now in the hands of the debt collector. Doesn't matter what type of debt collector. It could be a company, it could be a lawyer. Now, according to your credit report, there is only 7 years that these debts can be reported on your credit report. From the time that item has been charged off by the original creditor, remember that could be Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, a gas card, a store card, you name it. So they're now in the hands of the debt collector. There's 7 years of how long that information can stay on your credit report. Now, in terms of collecting on the debts, that really has to do with the state that you live in. See, in the state where I live in, which is in New Jersey, I'm going to be very transparent, a debt collector only has 6 years. 6 years to collect on that debt from the time of when that item had got charged off to the time of it being outstanding. Now, you may be wondering, well, Aurelia, how would I know? How would I know the time period of how long debts can be collected in my state? Well, that's a good question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with that resource. I'm going to put a link right under this video. And what I want you to do is I want you to go to your state and I want you to see how long debts can now be collected from that debt collector. So now the other part you may be wondering, okay, Lorelia, well, why shouldn't I pay it, or how can it affect my credit? Well, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you what will happen if you pay that debt. Now, if the period of time has passed, meaning the 7 years has passed, it shouldn't be reported on your credit report, or the 6 years has passed in the state that I live in, and it no longer should be collected on. If it is now, let's just throw a number out there, 9 years. I never have examined my credit report. I never looked at any outstanding debts I may have. I may not have even paid attention to any of the correspondences that came in the mail. But you know what? Now I decide to take responsibility. I want to now get my financial affairs in order. And I start examining my credit report. I start looking at what comes in the mail. I see that there's a letter that's telling me that I can settle on a debt. Doesn't matter what the amount is. And that if I settle on this debt, I wouldn't have to worry about it no more. Well, let me explain to you. Remember the time period I said? 7 years to report on your credit report, 6 years in the state that I live in for it to be collected on. But it's now 9 or 10 years later. If I go and pay that debt, I have now did what is called re-age that debt. I also like to also call it is that you are awakening the sleeping giant. What that means is that at the point that you decide to pay that debt, and it's past the period of time that I stated previously, that debt collector now has the authority to now report it on your credit report and list it as a new trade line. Now, why would you want a new trade line reported on your credit report from a debt collector? It doesn't improve your credit. It doesn't increase your credit score. But I always put a disclaimer out there. If you really feel like in your heart of hearts that you want to pay that debt, by all means you pay it. But if you truly have a strategy, or you're looking for a strategy on how you can increase your credit score, on how you can get rid of debt collectors, you have to understand the law. And the one thing you want to look out for is zombie debt. Do not get caught up with paying old debts just to pay them just because many of those debts may be zombie debts or time-barred debts. Once again, this is Lorelia. If you want to learn more about the topic that I talked about in hand, along with the different states and their period of time of how long debts can be collected on, under this video, you'll see a link and you will learn more about that. Along with another link that's on this video, I want to give you the first part of my book, Jumpstart Your Credit, How to Settle and Negotiate Your Debts in 10 Steps. I want to give you that for free. Once again, this is Lorelia. I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye. Well, that acronym was created by the FTC. I think we all know what the FTC is. That's the Federal Trade Commission. They have different, I would have to say, agencies that handle certain things for consumers. The agency, which is part of the FCRA, which is the Federal Credit Reporting Act, is the area and the statute and law that helps you to go to a credit reporting agency and inform them why they legally have to report things on your credit report that is true and not misleading, as well as it has to be true. I can't stress that enough. There are so many consumers out there that have a large portion of